Laura A. Grace here, the author of Dear Author, Letters from a Bookish Fangirl, Teen Lines of Poetry collection, and Finding God Anime Devotional for Otakus, which is free on a variety of platforms. I'll leave a link down below in case if you'd like to check it out. Happy Friday, my friends! I am so excited that you're here. I am so excited for this video review today. It is going to be awesome. I finished this series last night and I'm so hyped to talk about it, but I feel like I'm a little bit nervous because I'm afraid I'm going to miss talking about something because truly, I feel like this is the most underrated shoujo manga I have seen. Like, I barely see anybody talk about this. In fact, before I read this series, I don't recall anyone who had read it. And yes, sorry, I just want to say I even wrote out little notes of each volume on sticky notes, which I never do because that's how excited I am to talk about this series today. So there's so much I want to say. I don't even know where to start first, but I guess yes, I know where to start. I know where to start. So I first want to thank my friend Michelle. She commented, I believe it was on the Imakoi Now I'm in Love video review that I did, and she was the one that recommended Anonymous Noise. And I loved what she shared. She had shared about the anime specifically, I believe. But I remember that time I saw her comment, I just was trying to be more determined to read recommendations given on my channel because I feel like it's so exciting. Like when you're watching YouTubers that you really enjoy and you recommend something and they pick it up and they love it. A huge example, an awesome example of this is that Meet the Weeb family, dad and mom, picked up Osan Idol, and oh my goodness, it has made my heart so very happy that they have liked, I should say, because Jacob made sure that I corrected myself when I said love, but that they liked the first volume, and I know Meet the Weeb family mom had liked the second volume. So I bring all that up because yes, it's just really exciting. So I felt like her recommendation came at such a perfect time for me. And then I had already been curious about this manga for such a long time, and I was going to pick it up, and then for whatever reason I didn't. So long story short, here we are going to be sharing my thoughts on the shoujo series Anonymous Noise. All 18 volumes, gonna do my absolute best to make it spoiler free. Such an incredible series, and if I would have thought about it, I would have showcased my volume 1. Let's just go ahead and do that right now, okay? Okay, I got it. And I say showcase because, look, you can admire all of Nino. You don't need the non-pretty barcode interfering with the cover design. So, yes, so I have volume 1. Man, sorry, so many thoughts, because Right Stuff had a sale going on for shoujo manga. I believe it was last week, and I waited too long to pick up the series. Like, they had it all on sale, and almost all of it, I think except for like volumes 4 and 9, but I waited too long, and then by the time I was gonna go try and get it, they were out of stock on almost every single volume of it, and I was like, I'm not willing to wait. Anyway, I guess I could have still got them, but here we are. I loved this series, and again, just thank you so much, Michelle, for your recommendation. This series surprised me in so many ways, and just there are so many feels packed into this series. I am just mind blown. I'm not ready to like return this series back to the library, but I know I have to in like 2 weeks because I've maxed out my holds on it. I cannot keep it any longer. But anyway, I feel like I'm rambling, friends. I'm so sorry. But Anonymous Noise, if you're not familiar with this series, Anonymous Noise is about our main girl here. Her name is Nino, also known as Alice by a certain character in the manga. But Nino had a best friend, Momo. They were neighbors, and they would sing almost every night together at the window. They would sing Twinkle Twinkle Little Star. So like Nino would be here, Momo would be here, and they would just sing together. But then one day, Momo ends up unexpectedly moving, and she's so heartbroken that her best friend has moved. And I think I can't remember how much time has passed. It's still when she's very young though. Then she meets a young boy. His name is Yuzu. Nino was at the beach, and she comes across Yuzu there. They become very dear friends, but then Yuzu ends up unexpectedly leaving and she never sees him again. But both of these boys told her that if she kept singing, because she loves singing, but if she kept singing, that her voice would be a beacon to lead them to her. many years pass before she sees either of these boys again, but she keeps singing her heart out every day at this certain beach. And then one day, though, as she's in high school, I think it was her first day, she meets Yuzu again, and she's so, so excited. But even though she's met Yuzu, one of her childhood friends, more or less, she still longs for Momo. And so begins this just incredible and mind-blowing series. Maybe not mind-blowing, but it really was an emotional and very impactful series. I definitely discovered that I really, really enjoy music manga a lot. I feel like I sort of knew this because if you've seen my review, When We Shout for Love, which is a music-based manga, and unfortunately only a digital series at this point, but oh my goodness, I just absolutely loved it. I loved the music parts so incredibly much, and I found this was especially true for this series. When We Shout for Love is only 3 volumes long, and Anonymous Noise is 18 volumes long, and there is so much music and concerts and just music action that's just in this series that I could not get enough of it. Hands down, it was my favorite part. Now, it's interesting to say all of that because I sort of feel like, if you have a music manga, you need to be able to hear the music to appreciate it, right? Like, I feel that would be a very important thing. And interestingly enough, I did not struggle with that. I don't know what it was, though I will say I have to laugh because I think it's called Shout Like Flames, but it is one of the openings to I Was Reincarnated as a Slime. And for whatever reason, that lady, her voice in that song makes me think of In No Hurry to Shout, which is the name of the band, or one of the bands that is like in the series. Like the band that Alice is in, or Nino, that is her band. So, but I would sometimes just like have that music randomly on in my brain. Like it just came on and it was just triggered and they had the same vibes, I guess, in my brain. So I absolutely loved it. So there were times, as nerdy as that sounds, where I felt like my brain was creating its own music. And in a way, I sort of liked that I did not physically hear music. I had seen just because this is an anime, I feel like maybe the first few volumes, I'll say the first 10, I don't know, that it is animated. And I did go listen to the song Canary, which is a very popular song in the manga. And it's sort of, I feel like, really kicked off In No Hurry to Shout's music career. At least with Alice, I should say, with Alice slash Nino. There's a lot of things there. But I don't know, I just feel it's so incredible to see a manga take something where we associate with noise, where we must hear it to appreciate it, and yet still be able to appreciate it through the manga. Like, I honestly felt there were times where I was just blasted with their music and my hair just flew back and I'm just like, this is incredible. Like, I cannot get enough of this, like this feeling and this excitement and joy and like, dude, I'm at a concert but in a manga and just totally sucked up into those parts. Like, I genuinely felt like I was on this bookish musical high from their music that I could not hear. And I just think that is so absolutely incredible. And it speaks so incredibly much of the mangaka and how she did this series, how she wrote this series, that she could capture that element so vividly and so richly to really pull you in and make you feel involved in this series. It was awesome and it was excellent and I love it and I need more music manga because I felt that exact same high when I read When We Shout for Love, the second volume. It was everything and I just remember being like, how can I be at a concert in a manga when I cannot hear what they're saying, but yet I'm appreciating it just as much as if I was in a real live concert. At least I think. It's been a few years since I've actually been to a real live concert, but I loved it and I could not get enough of those scenes. Like, literally, my favorite parts was the tour arc, which happens closer to the beginning. I think it's like actually the middle, and then the first Rock Horizon arc. I mean, they were so good. I mean, it was just absolutely amazing. And I guess after gushing about that, let me go ahead and talk about these characters because, dude, I love them. It's interesting because when I was going back and I was reading my reviews just so I could have like this refresher, I truly stand behind what I said, and I think I actually even wrote it down, but I don't know if I can read my handwriting because I wrote it so very sloppily when I said it. I said, the more I read the manga, the more I think that this shows why shoujo manga is so extremely compelling. And it is so true. I felt like this series captures the drama, the angst, the feels, everything I feel like we associate with shoujo manga and why so many readers love it. I feel like this series did it, and it's so underrated because I mean, from the get-go, you know there's going to be a love triangle. Like, this manga does not shy away from that fact whatsoever. And I do not like love triangles. I've said that before. They're not my favorite, yet they are so rampant in shoujo manga, and it's just something I've had to like, okay, we know it's going to be in here. Just cheer for the guy that you like and hope for the best. And the first volume, I did enjoy. I did like it. I was like, okay, I can see how this love triangle can maybe be compelling. But then I got to volume 2, and you just really get to see these characters more, and I was completely hooked. I was completely invested into this love triangle. In fact, I felt very passionately about who I wanted to be with Nino. And then as the series progresses, I was like, I really don't know who I want to be with Nino. And then it progressed some more, and I was like, yes, I've changed ships. This is what I want. But then we get near the end, and I was like, I don't know who I want again. It was a very new feeling for me because usually I'm pretty much like, okay, I'm going to ship this guy with the main girl, and that's that. I'm not going to change sides. I'm not going to change my ideas about it, and you just can't convince me otherwise, mangaka or author. But Anonymous Noise was like, are you really sure you're set on that ship? And I was like, yes. And then, I don't know. And then, no, I'm not. And then back to, maybe, I think so. But I will say, when it comes to the love triangle, I thought the conclusion was perfect. I was very satisfied with the ending of this series. There was so many feels, and the closer I got to the end, actually, especially, we'll get there, but especially when I got closer, I was really nervous if I could come to really love the series because it just took such an emotional turn at the end that I would have never imagined that from when I started volume 1 that suddenly we're getting to this super emotional parts. I mean, obviously, I feel like manga is emotional. Shoujo manga specifically is emotional. But those last 4 volumes, like, dude, I did not expect that whatsoever. It was such a turn of events. Yes. So I really want to talk about these characters. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and find all the covers that have Alice. But what's really cool about this series is that each of the characters from In No Hurry to Shout, excluding Momo, that they all are on the series. Like, there's like a cool continuing trend. I don't know if that's the right word with each one. So you have Alice, or Nino. We have Nino. I can talk. Then we have Alice, and then we have Nino again. And let's talk about Alice. What to say? So it's really interesting because who Alice is in the beginning, she is a completely different person by the end. I mean, the character growth of her is incredible because I'm not gonna lie, I loved Alice as a main character. I really loved cheering for her. But one of the things that I feel can definitely be a hit or miss for any reader is that Alice is very much focused on reaching Momo, which was her childhood best friend, and her whole life centers around that. I mean, literally, like, that's no exaggeration. That as you see just in this first volume, everything is about Momo. Everything is about hoping to get to see Momo again, hoping to reach Momo with her singing, hoping just anything and everything with Momo. So she's very much focused on this young man, and you hear this in her internal dialogue, you hear this in conversations, you see this in her actions, and it can be hard because if you don't like Momo, which I did not in the beginning, it can make it like, you need to just get over him and you need to go for Yuzu. Even though there was nothing romantically there in the beginning, it's just like, when you, like, you'll just see, when you meet Momo and then you see Yuzu, you're just like, girl, you need to get over Momo. Just get over him. But here was the thing that I was thinking about that, and I don't remember which review of mine that I said it, Okay, I can't find my notes on which volume it was, but I think what makes Nino such an incredibly compelling character is that even though, yes, she's obsessed with Momo, maybe obsession isn't the right word, but it does feel unhealthy in a sense. And it can be very, I don't want to use the word annoying, but I do feel it's like, like I said before, it's like, girl, can you please just stop focusing on him? There's so much more to life than just Momo. But I think that's part of what makes her character so compelling, and especially I could see for a young teenage girl, is that she never gives up. Even when everybody's like, you're probably not going to see him again. You should just stop trying to reach him. She never gives up. She never quits trying to reach Momo. Even when she knows people make fun of her. Even when friends are like, this is too much. Like, you need something more than just this, Nino. She just doesn't stop. She just doesn't stop. So I did not always agree with all of Nino's decisions. I did not always agree with her why behind those decisions, but I cannot knock how amazing it was to see Nino stand in her convictions of wanting to reach Momo. I found that, I don't want to say the word inspiring, but I do want to say that it was just very compelling to me. And that when you see how focused she is on Momo in the beginning, like when I was like skimming through parts in the beginning, I was like, oh my goodness, like everything was for Momo to the end. Her journey is worth it. Do not give up on this series. Continue all the way to the end. I mean, not just for Nino, but for other characters, but especially seeing Nino's journey, her musical journey, and things inside. And I mean, she faces such heartbreak in this series. It's not like everything is smooth sailing for her whatsoever. And there are times when it's just like everything that she did almost was like in vain for not, let me rephrase that, her reasonings of her why, and then seeing certain things unfold, it was almost like a moment of like, man, was it in vain to choose to keep hoping what you were hoping for? And really just knocked her down. Not that character, but I'm just saying for character growth wise. I mean, where she hit rock bottom. Now, I'm going to say there was a moment that involves that heartbreak that I was really angry. It was volume 14. And while I understand the decision a character made, I was very angry because, and I literally almost dropped the series. If I was not that close to the end, I would have dropped it because that's how upset I was. Nino made a decision. It was a huge decision. I don't know if I agree or don't agree with what she did, but it was her decision. But I felt like this character came in, even if he feels his motives were right, I feel like he stripped her decision away from her. Yes, I mean, that was a pivotal moment for her where she grew as a musician. She could not be who she is today if that incident did not happen. But man, I was like, respect her decision. Even if it was the wrong decision, even if it was the right decision, you have no right, said character, to take that away from Nino because she has worked so hard to get to that point and where it looks like she has fulfilled things that she has wanted only for it to be stripped away. So I will leave that there because otherwise I will get into spoilers, but I do have a detailed spoiler review and I have the warning on it on my Goodreads review of volume 14 if you are curious. That was the volume I gave the lowest rating in the series because that is how upset I was. I enjoyed the rest of the volume, but that one scene hit a nerve for me. Anyway, let's go back on happy things. Like I said, her arc and her story, absolutely incredible. Like, I mean, it is worth it. I will say, if you're like, she's so annoying in the beginning, she's just too boy crazy or too focused on Momo, I promise you, she is a different young woman by the end of this series, and you are going to want to see the character growth and the change that she makes as this series goes on. Now, she is not the only one who has some huge changes, because Yuzu here, sorry guys, I don't know why the barcode's covering his face. It makes me sad, but here's a better one. Yuzu. Oh my goodness. Yuzu. I almost want to say that if anybody has the most, like, wow, they are a hugely different person. It is Yuzu. Yuzu is the man. This young man has gone through so much, and his backstory is so heartbreaking. And like near the end, a lot of his story comes into play, and it was hard to read. I am not even gonna lie. What volume was it? I don't know if it was the one that has Haruyoshi on it, but I cried in that volume because this manga may write all the ink, she may write all of the drama and all of the feels, but she does not shy away from having these characters have real and heartbreaking things in their family that greatly affect them as a character. And Yuzu, I mean, truly, I feel like if there's any character that deserves to get a happy ending, it was Yuzu, like hands down. It was Yuzu. He deserves all of the happiness, like hands down. His story was absolutely incredible. I have loved Yuzu from the first time that we met him. I love his no-sense attitude. I love how he doesn't put up with smack. He can be very funny, and he's also very loud at times, and he can be, there's a certain word, very grumpy as well. He is just a fantastic hero, and I just admire him so much. And the way he handles things, yeah, maybe it's not the best. He usually ends up yelling at people and whatnot, but his passion and his heart and how he never once crumbled in this manga. I mean, yes, there's a scene coming to mind right now that people could say that he did, but just how he learns that he's not alone and that his friends love him and care for him and that he is not in this fight with life alone was so beautiful. It was so beautiful, and the art just highlighted it and just made it so rich and so emotional. I mean, many times I feel that is where I got the most emotional was with Yuzu, because he makes decisions and choices, and if you compare those to the beginning, and it's like, Yuzu, you are not the same man. And I think it was Nino who says that, because on the back it says Yuzu's not the same man anymore, and he is not. He is not. And just man, he is an amazing and young man. And if I could see him in real life, I would just say, you are doing awesome. And I am so thankful, because one thing that's very prominent in this manga is, like I said, that no person can do it alone. There's always someone who is there for them, somebody who believed in them. And Yuzu has that. He has that with In No Hurry to Shout with the band members. And he also has that with his manager, that you see these behind the scenes, or like, yeah, behind the scenes, or the past memories come in. It's like, Yuzu, you have never been by yourself. You might have thought that you need to sacrifice this and that your own worth is not as important to other people. But no, that's not true. That's not true at all. So Yuzu's story was absolutely incredible. I mean, I really feel he changed so much, and things that involve him with the romantic aspect were just so moving, and he is the man. He's just the man. I mean, there's nothing else I could say except he is the man, and I really, really loved his character, and that I am so thankful that the manga just did so well by all of these characters at the end, but especially Yuzu, because it was very important. I feel like not just to me as a reader, but to other readers, that there would be something good for him, especially when you read those last few volumes. I mean, it is emotional, not just because of like one certain thing, but I mean, it's like it starts when I feel like when you get to the covers that have the white backgrounds, that is when the emotions hit. That is when we're in the feels. That's when decisions are being made, especially by Yuzu. I don't know how he could do it. I don't know how, because I'm like, Yuzu, if I was in your shoes, I really don't know if I can make that same decision. But he was willing to put everything on the line, including himself, including his love, including his passions, and go for it. And do what he felt he needed to do, not just for himself, but for his family, for In No Hurry to Shout. And it was incredible. Incredible, friends. Incredible. And I will stop there, because I feel if I keep going about how amazing Yuzu is here, we're going to be getting into spoilers. But oh my goodness, Yuzu is great. I really love his character so much. For next up, for volume 3, we have Momo, the childhood best friend, and the one, oh my goodness. I don't even know what to say about Momo, except for my feelings changed a lot with Momo, and Momo was a very unexpected character that I did not think I would actually ever come to like, and I really loved his story. I really love how it changed, how he grew as a character. And I will just say that the things with his mom, well played mangaka. That's all I can say. There's a lot there. I'm not going to say how, but read it. Read it to the end. You will learn things. And it was, like I say, it was well played. It was well done. And it just made his character so much deeper than this young man who is a jerk and is jealous and just a lot of things. And you're just like, Momo, Alice, Nino has yearned for you all this time, and this is who you are. This is who you really are. Oh man, it was bad in the beginning. It was really bad, and even things like different decisions that he makes that affects Nino. I mean, you just can't help but resonate with other people, and they're like, "Dude, what are you doing? What are you doing?" Like, I definitely asked myself that more than one occasion. I was happy with how things ended for him as well. He came a very long way. He came a very long way. But that's all I want to say about Momo, because we're about to go on to my favorite character in this series, hands down. Absolutely loved. He has to be in my now top 5 of favorite shoujo male heroes, and that is Haruyoshi. Sorry guys, you can't see his face, but oh my goodness, can't see his face there, but you can see his face here. I love Haruyoshi so much. Oh my goodness. I love him. I love him. He is an amazing, that's my sticky note. He is an amazing character, just so well written. And one thing I think that I really loved about his character is because he has, I forget how many sisters, 5, 6 sisters. So he comes off at times very feminine-like, but he is not feminine. He is a young man, and he is very much attracted to one of the other characters in this story. And I was like, yes, I love his side story, his romance. Like, heck yes, it was one of my favorite parts. It was so good. So good. I loved it so much. Haruyoshi. Yeah, he's got to go in my top 5 favorite shoujo male characters ever, because I just absolutely loved him. I loved his passion. I love his drive. And like I said, I really just loved how he had this feminine-like personality, but that he was still just a young man. I just felt it was very nice and just cool to see a young man showed in that way and still be a young man. Like, I feel like there's like this thing, I don't know, where that if a young man acts feminine, that he isn't a real man, or he's lesser of a man. And Haruyoshi, I feel like, just shows no, that is not true for every young man that has a feminine-like nature or personality. There's so much that goes on with his character, and I just totally agree that he sees things that nobody else sees, and he's able to speak to that person and just lift them up and encourage them at just the right moment. And he's very passionate when it comes to the person that he really likes, and I love his determination and how he honestly just never ever gives up. He is just an incredible character. Haruyoshi for the win, hands down. Absolutely loved him so much, and he is queen. And that's funny to say. I mean that as a joke, because if you've read it, then you know who Queen is and why I'm saying that. But he is Queen, hands down. Love his character, loved his story. It was so incredibly well done, and I'm so thankful that there was a point where the manga wrote in a column, she's like, I'm sorry guys that there was not enough Haruyoshi in this one, but I promise I'll make it up to you in the next one. I'm like, yes, please do, because anytime he's on page, in a good way, because there was one time that I was like, Monica, if you break Haruyoshi's heart, I will be so angry. I put that all in caps in my Goodreads review, because, like, do not break Haruyoshi's heart, because he is so precious and so sweet, and he deserves all of the great things. Hands down. I'm not going to say much about this character, like I said, because there's a lot there, but Mio, she surprised me very much. When I first met her, I really never imagined how she would play a huge role in this story. Like I said, I can't say much without going into spoilers, but I really loved her friendship with Nino. It was so well done. It was so very well done. And just their whole personal friendship and how it bloomed and how it grew through the series was so well done. It was so, oh my goodness, it was so well done, especially when you see how things unfold at the end. I mean, I never would imagine that they would get to that point, that that's how they would be, how close they were, and how Mio is a very fun character in general by herself because she's very like blatant, what she says, very frank in her conversation, and it could be very funny because the other people will be like, why did you just say that? But it's part of who she is, and it's very great, and her story at times was so heartbreaking to read, but I love how other characters were just there for her. And that's all I can say because that will lead to massive spoilers. So we're just going to stop there. I know that was pretty quick with Mio, but I really enjoyed her character and look how awesome she looks. She is part of the band in Silent Black Kitty and her musical journey as well. And seeing her grow was so satisfying. I absolutely loved it, especially that band itself and all of the things behind that band and the history of it was so so well done. Very, very good. Oh my goodness, it was just awesome. And she looks very, very cool here. And I loved her ending. It was great. It was so well done. And I was just so happy for her and her courage and the way she was affected by Alice slash Nino and how she changed. And it was so good. It was so good. She was a very unexpected character that I did not expect to love as much as I did as the story kept going and kept progressing. And speaking of that, we're on our final guy here, and that is Kuro. He is such a very fun character, and I will say that of any romantic story in this manga, Kuro had the most satisfying one. It was so well done. It was so, oh man, look how cool they look on the back. That's In No Hurry to Shout. It was so good. It was so good. There's so much more to him than I ever expected. And I did not expect to love him as much as I did either. But as the manga goes on, and especially near the end, and he gets like a very strong secondary focus, it was so good. And I am just so happy for him. I never knew how, try to think of how to word this. I never knew like how much I needed things to happen that happened for his benefit, for his sake. It was so beautiful and I really, really, really loved it. And I just was so happy for him. I mean, thankfully in these like last 4 volumes where all the emotions are rampant and everything is going on and it's just like heartbreak after heartbreak after heartbreak. Thank you, Kuro, for bringing some happiness in those moments where it was like, I don't know how much more my heart can take because he really just shined on the page. And I really loved, especially him in Alice's like friendship. I really, really love that and how they more or less encourage one another in different ways, even though they didn't necessarily mean to do that. Like they would try to encourage the other person, but end up encouraging themselves too. I know that sounds sort of weird. It was just an interesting dynamics to their friendship that was great. And I absolutely loved it when they had it's very rare, but when they did have just one-on-one conversations together and what that would lead to, it was so good. Like Kuro, he is such a fun and well done character who just, he also deserved all of the happy things. And truly, everybody in this series deserved all of the happy things. It was such a powerful and impactful series. When I was rereading my reviews, I kept coming back to that word impactful. It was like just everything that was happening just kept hitting me. It just kept hitting me in an emotional way, whether that was excited, whether that was sad, and just all of it as a whole. Yes, it definitely has drama. Yes, it definitely has lots and lots of angst, hands down. But the impact that these characters left and the impression they left on me is something that's not going to be going away anytime soon. I really just came to love each of these characters for who they were and accept them. Not that I didn't accept them, but I feel like just when you see the past them and then the future them, I mean, it's like a night and day difference. I mean, they just changed so much and they honestly felt like real people. And when the manga ended, I was like, I wish I could go meet these guys and just tell them how amazing they are, how amazing they were, and how much that their story affected me, and how thankful I am to have read their story, even if it was hard sometimes, and even if I didn't approve of all of their choices and really wish that they would have made different choices. They went through so much, and it just was such a blessing to be able to read this series. This is Shojo manga. This is Shojo manga. I wouldn't say at its finest, but I feel like it is. I mean, this captures why we love this genre, why we love these kinds of stories, because we see who they were and we see them be able to stand on their own 2 feet. Yes, they may have a romance, and you know, that romance may make them a better person, but at the end of the day, they're also who they are, that they changed as a person. I mean, in No Hurry to Shout, I mean, that was one of my favorite parts of as well, is that not only did each of the members grow individually, but they grew as a band, and they came to see that they're not alone, that their struggle with music or something mental that's going on, they're not in that alone. And I will stop there, my friends. I will stop with my ramblings, but I really hope that just all of these thoughts, as long-winded as it is, and going into all these details, hopefully spoiler-free, of how much I really, really enjoyed Anonymous Noise, and just how incredible and again impactful this story was. I would highly recommend it, especially if you love music for sure, and if you love seeing characters be one way at the beginning and can be a completely and better different person by the end. Like I said, read it all the way to the end. Don't stop, because you need to see the fullness of each of these characters and their growth and how they changed for the better. If you've read this series, I would love to hear what you thought. I hope that you enjoyed it. And if you haven't read this series, do you like reading music manga, or like, do you enjoy listening to music? I would love to hear from you, friends. And if you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe. And thanks so much for watching. Bye!